So Tony, Governor Hochul inaugurated a new cyber facility in Brooklyn recently. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there and a little bit about ITS's role in the facility.
Because of Governor Hochul's emphasis on cybersecurity and her support of the entire program, she initiated the Joint Security Operations Center. As you said, we're running it out of Metro Tech in Brooklyn. The scheme of maneuver for it is, or the concept of operations is that we're going to work with local governments, county, state, and we're going to work with major cities to produce a one-of-its-kind threat awareness and threat analysis organization that in the future will have the capability of mitigation and remediation of cyber threats. In the meantime, we're working on facilitating it with personnel, which we've hired, and putting in the equipment, which we've done. One of the key things that we're going to be doing in the summer is developing and refining the processes so that it's not only a one-of-its-kind operation, but it sets the standard for cyber operations throughout the United States.
And so, while it will be the first of its kind in New York, it's not the first cyber sharing organization in the country. How are you learning from some of the other ones like the MSISAC or the LA Cyber Lab? How are you learning from some of those folks to bring some of those lessons to
So
New York?
here's our advantage. We're going to be working with those governmental agencies, sharing with them the data that we have and taking lessons learned, and then looking at the patterns that they're providing to us so that we can use this data correctly and make our cyber approach pervasive throughout the state.
And local government anywhere, collaboration with local government presents some huge challenges because of size, scale, budget, resources. So why is this center the place to bring in everyone from Orange County, New York to Kings County together to work on
With
this?
the risk being at the lowest level, it's important, and the governor identified it, that we just don't have visibility over the state enterprise, but we have visibility over the entire state enterprise, if you will, down to the county level. With the new types of endpoint security protection devices and operations that are available, it'll give us more visibility and our ability to assist them in mitigating the threat in the future.
And when you look at a center like this, what does that collaborative effort enable you to do from a purchasing perspective to leverage some of this technology that's out there, the automation, the emerging technology, all of these great products that vendors at a conference like this want to talk to you about? What does that enable you to do?
Well, we've become attractive to the vendor now. They're helping us in the solutioning section of deciding which technologies are best for the state of New York. There's some things out there that we don't even know about that the vendors are doing now. Of course, we're going to be reasonable and prudent with our decision-making process in selecting these processes and products that they offer. But we think we have a distinct advantage because they're interested in supporting us. And with their interest in support, it puts us on the leading edge of cybersecurity for the state of New York.
And let's talk a little bit about you here. I mean, you come to New York from the Virgin Islands. You've had a multitude of other roles across the community working in this stuff. I mean, how do those lessons that you've learned throughout your career sort of build to this moment and to a facility like the JSOC and to work like you're doing now?
I think every opportunity for me has been a teachable and learnable moment. As a young military officer, I worked as an infantry person. I learned about people and responsibilities. As a mid-grade officer, I was a logistician, so I understood about distribution and logistics in general. And later on in my career, I was blessed with being a cyber professional in the Army. Before the Army even designated cyber as a career field, I worked with Army Cyber Command. So what I did is I built a mantra of people, understanding people. That's not only the people I work with, but the people that I serve, making sure that customers, this trite statement of customers being number one is more important to me. Customers are important. Customers should be looked at and listened to. With regards to processes, I've refined these processes over the years, and I understood that I needed to bring things down to the lowest common denominator and make these processes repeatable over time so that we can not only set the standard, but set the pathway for the future in developing processes. With regards to products, I got a plethora of education, if you will, with understanding how products assist in customer support and delivery. There are tools out there, there are products out there that I've learned to assess over the years, and with the help of a good team, make a decision on providing the best for the customers that we support. And then one thing that I've learned in my journey is that we introduce technology before we introduce a policy. So understanding that if there's a new widget or gadget out there, I have to understand that it has to perform within a certain standard and meet certain regulatory guidance. Of course, public sector has that guidance already laid out there, but we understand the emphasis on policy. So my journey has put me to the point where I've taken those 4 Ps and I practice those at work, and I insist on top of core values that my team understands the importance of these as well.
And when you come to a conference like this, every conference there's that opportunity to meet and greet with the next class of CIOs and get to know the new people that are taking on leadership across the community. What are some of the lessons that you give them when you hear of a new CIO? What do you call them up? You say, hey, here's what I've learned. Here's like that number one thing that you have to take away.
First of all, I make myself approachable and I make myself accessible. And I seek out the new faces. I congratulate them for being selected to work with their states or their territories. And I offer my services because we've had a vast number of experiences, my wife and I, in the IT industry, in the public sector, and of course on the DoD side as well. So I think it's important for me to be approachable, to be friendly, and make sure that I make myself available to my peers, because it's one team, one fight. I got that from the military. If I learn something and I don't pass it on, it's not going to be good for this nation. It's not going to be good for our state. We just can't hold it. I have to pass these things on. So I think of every opportunity as a teachable moment. My peers are going to get the best of me when it comes to that.
So we talked about cyber. We talked a little bit about leadership just there. Between now and sort of the annual conference toward the end of the year, what are some of those other top focuses for you as you're looking ahead?
Right now, I am working on my strategic plan. As you know, in New York, our budget season starts in April. So what I task my subordinate units with is developing an internal strategic plan. And what I'm going to do is leverage their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats in developing a new strategic plan, which leverages our roadmap, our technology roadmap. Never done this before. We as visionaries always think way out and we vision. But I've learned a lesson since I've been in New York. I want to take my technology roadmap, that plan that we have 5 years from now, that speaks to things like IL2, MFA, those things that we eventually, and the utilization of AI, and build that into my strategic plan. So make that technology roadmap match my strategic plan so we have meat on that bone finally and not just a pie in the sky vision. So I'm anxious about that. And we're going to be working on that this quarter.